Hey, and welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So, what does food mean to you? Well, today we're going to ask Robert Gaglio what food means to him, but also he's our special guest for today. He's the author of a really interesting book, and surprise, surprise, it's food oriented too, but it's also got some other story. It's got a storyline to it too. It's his story. Robert, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a honor to be here.
So, Robert, tell us the title of your book, and we'll get into a little bit of your story.
Sure. Freedom to wander kind of came to me because over the past 10 years, I've had the opportunity to just take some time and wander through Italy, not just Italy, parts of Europe, but mostly, I'd say 80% Italy.
Uh-huh.
And how did that happen was a simple vacation in 2012, kind of coming on midlife. And had a tough period in the crash of 2012. I live in Florida and I was in
Hmm.
banking,
Hmm.
and that was a really difficult period of my life.
Huh?
And I just took my son on this journey to see where our family was from, my grandparents, a
Huh?
little town outside of Palermo, Montelepre. And it was a magical experience. And I wanted to go back every year to visit them.
Uh-huh.
And a few angels along the way got in my path. And here 2 years later, I started a tour company. It seems crazy, but I
Uh-huh.
just not having any travel industry experience. I was in wealth management and banking.
Uh-huh.
I just took a leap of faith. So
Yes. Sometimes you do have to do that. So, what's the name of the town that your family's from?
it's Montelepre. Lepre
Montelebre.
is a hare in Italian, and so it's the mountain of the hare.
Huh?
And they go back. My name goes back to there's a padre that gave me a family tree. That
Hmm.
was his hobby. He likes to do genealogy, and he gave me a family tree that goes back to as far as like 1680 in
Uh-huh.
that little
Wow.
town, very small town, about 5,000 people live there. So.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Oh,
And then
that's
my
wonderful.
grandfather came to the United States in 1912
Uh-huh.
and settled in Detroit, and that's where I was born, in Detroit.
Wow, in Detroit. My grandfather went there, and actually we found out too from our records he went there to work on the railroad, but he ended up settling in South Philadelphia, the Italian neighborhood. Don't know
Okay.
why. I don't know if I think one of his relatives, because at that time you had to have somebody sponsor you.
Yeah, it's very
So his
very common.
sister was living in Philly, and he ended up working on the railroad and then went to Philly. She sponsored him, and that's how he got. But he went to Detroit, but he wasn't from Sicily, was from Abruzzo.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, very, very interesting. So, do you have any favorite foods from the town that your family's from? Or, well, what I want to ask you. So, Sicily, I know there's the sea and mountains, and
Mhm.
where's the town or that your
Well, if you're
family's?
in Palermo,
Uh-huh.
you would drive straight up a mountain, and it's about from downtown Palermo, probably about 40 minutes. So you just
Oh,
go straight
okay.
up. There's a
Yes.
few, there's a few mountain towns.
Uh-huh.
Monreale has a beautiful cathedral
Uh-huh.
that's more to the east of Palermo, southeast, where
Uh-huh.
Montelepre is more west, southwest
Uh-huh.
so it's very close to Palermo.
Uh-huh.
Very common name, my last name in the town. Probably 20% of the population has my last name, which is,
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's um, my mother was born in Sicily, but she
Uh-huh.
was 2 years old when she came through Ellis Island.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
so
not
she was
different
early.
town. She was
Yes.
more closer to Messina, which is to the
Uh-huh.
east of the island. It's on the east coast, and she was in a small town there as well. I did visit her town and got her birth records and things, but no one was there that, we knew.
That you know. Yes, yes. Now I understand. Well, I know a lot of the city halls have put a lot of records online, so it's a little bit easier to trace in most
Yes.
places, not all.
Yeah.
but in most places it's just a little bit easier to trace. I'm always telling people to go online and, see if wherever you're from, you may be able to find it before you even get there. So tell us, if we're doing a tour to Sicily,
Hmm.
what would be the places you would tell if somebody had never been to Sicily before, what would be the places you would recommend to visit, or what kind of a tour would you
Oh
recommend?
my gosh, we do a tour in Sicily.
Oh.
Most people aren't aware of the layering of culture in Sicily. Unfortunately, they just think of the mafia, which
Hmm.
mafia is all through Italy. It's not just
Yes.
Sicily. It just happened to kind of start there, I
But
guess.
let me just tell you, it's all throughout the world. So it's not
Yeah,
just
that's
in
true.
Italy. So
Yeah,
yes. But I
let's not
know
kid
people,
ourselves.
because we have the Godfather movie, which was such
That's
a
right.
classic. Everybody
Goodfellows.
just thinks Sicily Mafia, and that's all they
Yes.
think about. But
Yes.
it's so beautiful and such
Yeah.
great food there. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's
But any
unfortunate that that's the stigma, and then also,
exactly.
it's a little more difficult to get to. So,
Yes.
if you have a week, you really need to divide it up into like what side you want to do, because if you try to do the whole island in a week, you don't have enough time. There are more. Well, Italy has the most World UNESCO World Heritage sites in any other country, and
Hmm.
then Sicily has the most of any region in Italy.
Oh,
So that
really?
just kind of tells you like, wow, there's a lot there.
Yes.
So I would divide it if I had 2 weeks. Definitely start out in Palermo, um, do the sites there, do a couple trips over to the other coast, Trapani. There's a town called Aricia, which is very
Hmm.
beautiful, the medieval mountain town that you could visit. There's
Hmm.
Segesta that has a Greek a population that we're assimilating into the Greek cultures, and there's a an unfinished temple there. That's
Huh?
pretty cool. You go on to the east, you'll go to Shapaloo, and
Huh?
there's a show out there, and it's called White Lotus, and it took place, the second season took
Oh,
place
yes.
in Taormina, Sicily.
Yes. Yes.
It's I don't, I hope I don't offend any of your listeners. I didn't really care for the show. It
Ah.
really didn't show much of
I've
Sicily.
heard of the show, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had people tell me, "Oh, did you see White Lotus?" But what is the other show? Montalbano. Do you know
Montalbano.
Montalbano? Is
Yeah.
that in Taormina also? And I
No,
think they're still filming.
that's the south west. Our
Okay.
tour, we're in Scigli, and they actually film a lot of it. The villa that we stay in is in Scigli, and they do film a lot in that town of Montalbano. But I think
Montalbano.
it's supposed to take place in Agrigento, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that show. I don't get to watch it as much as I would like to, but sometimes I don't really pay attention to the show. It's just the
Yeah.
scenery
Yeah.
because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
So, that's
Well,
another good show. I guess White Lotus, if people just want to see the scenery to get an idea of where, some of the
yeah.
scenery is.
Unfortunately, they didn't do a good job of really showing you Sicily. The beach
Uh-huh.
scene
Hmm.
that you do see now, it takes place in Taormina, but the
Right?
beach is actually in Shapalo, which is about an hour
Oh,
and a half away. So
oh,
on this trip, I would tell people you go to Shapalo, and it's a wonderful kind of a vacation beach
right,
town.
right.
Probably about 20,000 people live there, 25, maybe
Uh-huh.
a little more. That's a great place to stop, and then go on to Taormina, which is sort of the Capri of Sicily. It's
Oh,
very kitschy
yes.
and lots of travelers in the past, and that's a great place to spend a few nights. Go up the
Uh-huh.
mountain, Mount Etna, which is a
Uh-huh.
UNESCO World
Yes.
Heritage Site. Do a wine tasting tour or wine lunch up there on the mountain. Then
Yes.
from there, you can go to Catania.
Uh-huh.
That's south of Taormina, about an hour. Catania is the second largest city behind Palermo. They have a great fish market there that's open each day.
Uh-huh.
Our chef has a school there, a cooking school that she operates there. And then on to my favorite, one of my all-time favorite cities of Italy is Siracusa, which is just south of Catania on the
Uh-huh.
eastern corner, eastern southern corner. Very Greek on that side. It's very Greek and it's also very Barocco architecture
Uh-huh.
because the Bourbon dynasty was in control of Sicily during a period where there was a massive earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
And those towns, Siracusa, Noto, Scicli, Ragusa,
Uh-huh.
Modica, those were all wiped out. If you can imagine an earthquake so strong that it wiped out all those cities in one day, it
It-
was just boom. So what happened was you won't see much Gothic because it's gone. It was just destroyed. So what happens? Those towns there that I named off, they all start from like 1700 architecture. And back then with the Bourbons, that was the Barocco style architecture. So those are all UNESCO World Heritage Sites as a group, those
Right.
towns. So lots to see. Modica has a chocolate history because you know the Spanish were bringing chocolate and tomato and those products
Yes.
from the New World,
Huh?
and Sicily was the closest those Spaniards could land to bring those products into their controlled areas. So you'll see a lot of that influence in the food and things like that. Great seafood, uh, wonderful, as you mentioned, different types of food. Even the Arabic as you go further west now. So now we're on the southern tip. We're going to go to Agrigento, which
Hmm?
is at the very southern part of Sicily. There is the finest Greek temple collection you'll see in all of the Greek world. Most people don't realize more Greeks lived in Sicily than in Greece at the peak of
Wow.
their dominance.
Yes.
And some of the most wealthiest were Siracusa, Gelo, and Agrigento.
Uh-huh.
And that's a beautiful place. A wonderful beach, a great little restaurant on the beach. You get some barbecued sardines and great seafood. So from Agrigento, then you would work your way. You could go to Salonuta, which is Salonute is another um, Greek archaeological park.
Huh?
But if you don't go that far, you can go up to Palermo and finish your trip again in Palermo and enjoy that. On the west side, it's very has an Arabic influence because the Muslims occupied Sicily for about 300 years during the medieval times. And then they have the Norman, of course. The Normans invaded, took the island away from the Islamic Empire, and basically it was Christianity from that point on. So
Huh. Yeah, I
yeah,
always tell people couscous is a really popular type of pasta in Sicily. There's lots of dishes made with
yes,
couscous because of the Arabic influence.
yes, yes.
And it's actually a really easy pasta to make, but
You'll
it's so
see,
versatile. You can do all kinds of things with it.
yeah, in San Vito di Capo is a town that they have a festival for
For the
couscous. And
couscous, yes.
that's a very beautiful resort town, kind of on the northwestern corner.
Uh-huh.
So that's different. You can see couscous on the East Coast now, but traditionally it was more on the West Coast.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is the arancini, the
Oh,
arancine,
yes.
arancina if you're in
Uh-huh.
Palermo,
Yes.
arancino if you're in Catania.
Uh-huh.
And that's a rice ball filled with ragu inside and deep fried,
Yes.
breaded and deep fried. So that's very Arabic. That's about 1,000-year-old recipe. That
And then
means
you can find them now all over Italy. Most of the pizza places have those
have it. Yeah.
arancini.
It's street
Yes.
food. It's street
Yes,
food.
it's
And
street food. I know
mhm.
in Rome it's really popular in the pizza
Yeah.
places. So tell us, so we're talking about food, and one of my favorite things in Sicily was the pistachio gelato inside of
Of course.
for breakfast. Oh my goodness. But
Yes.
tell us any other, I know we talked couscous, arancini, the pistachio gelato, because pistachios are grown there, correct?
Yes. Bronte is a town near, closer to Messina, but it's in a more mountainous kind of section. And for whatever reason, the volcanic soil is much very nutritious for plant life, and the pistachios grown there are the best in the world, even though it comes from
Yes.
Persia. It's not from there. But
Yes.
between the sunlight and the climate and the nutritious soil, that they're famous. And pistachio, in fact, I'm doing a cooking demonstration tomorrow or on Wednesday in Tampa for a TV station. We're going to do a pistachio sauce. It's going to
Uh-huh.
be cream
Oh,
with
well.
pancetta,
Uh-huh.
pistachio ground up, onion, no garlic, just onion,
Mm-hmm.
and cream and Parmesan cheese. It's a
Mm-hmm. Oh,
lovely
well.
sauce. Yeah,
Sounds definitely very interesting. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Yes, I know, and I do know because I was telling you I lived in Abruzzo for over 20 years and I've been to Sicily, but people that I knew that lived in Abruzzo for one reason or another worked in Sicily and they would come home weekly. So they would go to the pastry shops there, the bakeries, the
Mm,
forno,
mm, mm,
and they
mm.
would bring home, and the pastries are really something that, I mean, in
Yes,
Abruzzo, we had some good ones, but the
yeah.
typical, things you think of in Sicily, the cannoli, and
Cassata, yeah,
yes,
the
there's a couple of other
cassata.
ones.
Yeah.
Nothing was overly like sickening sweet. Like,
Hmm.
unfortunately, when you get them in America, they tend to put pounds of sugar in everything. Everything, the flavors are just so
Yeah,
balanced and just
yeah,
unbelievably delicious. Really,
yeah.
really
I
good.
don't know why Sicily and this, they have this thing with the desserts. They
Uh-huh.
definitely through like we do tours in Tuscany and in the north, and they do tortas with marmalade and
In
things like that. But
Tuscany, they don't do desserts. I know.
not
I've
very
done
well.
events in Tuscany
Yeah,
and I was always, they don't even do fruit. And I know in
yeah.
Abruzzo, one of our big things is at the end of the meal, you always have fruit. Actually, in the houses, there's always a bowl of fresh fruit.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
and I grew up with
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
Tuscany, it's no, it's
yeah.
it's the wine. It's the wine and the olive oil. That's what they're, yep. So
Yes,
there's
and the
no,
meat,
and
and
the
the
meats,
meat.
yes, there's
Yes, and the
nothing
meat.
with
But
desserts there, but
But
yes.
desserts, I think the tradition was, the monks, the friars and things, the priests that would be, they would make wine. That
Uh-huh.
was a big thing for them for income.
Yes.
But the nuns in Sicily would practice the pastries. So
Yes.
they would make the pastries. So this
Yes.
tradition of these pastries, and as you know, in Italy, not just in Sicily, each town has a specific, dish that they have, a
Yes.
pastry or a pasta or a bread. So that's very much like in Catania, they have a little cake, a little torta that looks like a breast
Uh-huh.
because in I think it's Catania. It was the Saint Agatha who had her
Uh-huh.
breast removed. Remember the
Oh,
story of the
wow. Uh-huh.
torture? She was a martyr.
Uh-huh.
The king wanted her to be his wife and not to be Christian, and so they tortured her. So they celebrate with this
With
cake that
that
looks like
type
a
of
breast.
cake. So they celebrate her day. And I know
Yeah,
actually in many parts of Italy, they do celebrate saints with a certain type of dessert or
sure.
cake or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Saint Joseph.
So,
Yeah.
but yes, it's yes. But it's
Mhm.
interesting that you mentioned that the nuns had the tradition of pastry because in Abruzzo, they do the same thing. Some
Mhm.
of the convents there to raise money for the
Yes.
convent,
Yeah,
they, did pastries. And a lot of people way back when they went to school, they learned from the nuns. Like I
that's
know
right.
my
Yeah,
grandmothers, it's not like they went to wealthy schools either. It's just that the nuns taught,
that's right.
and they taught,
Yeah,
and that's probably what spread the, pastry making throughout Sicily
yeah,
the nuns
yeah,
spread that.
yeah,
But yes,
yeah.
the
There's a town I mentioned earlier, Ericha. It is a mountain town near Trapani,
uh-huh,
and if you go in that town, there's a store. Maria Grammatico is her
uh,
name, and she was sort of like an orphan. I think her mother wasn't dead, but she lived in a convent as a child, and she was
uh-huh,
raised in the convent.
Huh?
and she took those recipes and created a shop in
Oh,
Acha,
wow.
and people from all over the world go visit her. She's
Wow.
probably in her late 80s now,
Uh-huh.
but she's there when you go. She's there in that shop, and
Wow.
she
That's so she sells products from those
the
recipes.
traditional.
The
That's
and
right.
they're
Yeah.
freshly made. It's like a
Oh
bakery.
yeah, yeah. They
Oh,
have a thing
wow.
called Genovese. It is like a
Yes.
ravioli that is
Yes.
deep fried. So
Uh-huh.
it's the pastry with the cheese inside,
Uh-huh.
ricotta, and it's a dolce. So
Yeah. Oh,
they
okay. So it's
deep
a
fry it,
sweet.
and they're just lovely
Uh-huh.
when they're made fresh like that. And you just go
Oh,
in there and get a
wow.
coffee, and yeah, it's
Yes.
delicious.
Oh,
So
wow.
Sicily does
Sounds
have desserts down. I'll have to say that.
definitely. They do. Like I said, we used to really look forward to this person we knew that would bring over, a box of desserts from Sicily every week. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so we're running out of time. So let's tell people where they can find your book and you. So it's Freedom to Wander.
Sure, it's a memoir based on kind of what happened the last 10 years, meeting my family and then deciding to like transform my life and do more cooking and starting a tour company. I left the corporate world,
Right.
and it was really because of meeting them. And then a few things happen along the way that make this possible to where I am 10 years from now. From then, 10 years from then, that I have this tour company, and we do tours throughout Italy, not
Right.
just in Sicily. And it's a fun story. Everything from making Thanksgiving dinner in Montelepre, Sicily for my
Uh-huh.
family,
Uh-huh.
doing our tradition holiday of Thanksgiving. So I had to find a whole turkey because they don't
Oh,
eat full
wow.
turkeys.
Yes, they don't know.
So there's some fun stories, and there's some lovely heart touching stories, and of course some food in there and travel. So it
Exactly.
is Freedom to Wander. They can go to my website, ItalianCulinaryTours.com,
Okay.
and they can go on, click on book, and they can go to the link for both Barnes and Noble and Amazon and order the book there. So
That's great. Great, Robert. Thank you so much. I could talk all day. Oh, the
yeah,
last thing is I usually try to ask my guests at the end, what does food mean to you?
well, that's an easy one.
Yes,
If you're Italian, it has to do with love and family.
there you
So
go.
the
That's the
act
most
of
popular answer.
yeah,
Yeah,
collecting the ingredients, preparing it, serving it, eating it with your family, that is all an act of love. So for me, that's what it means. Yeah.
great. Thank you so much and much success with everything. It sounds really exciting and delicious also and
Well, thank you,
fun.
Maria. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks to my special guest this week, Robert Gaglio, and my producer, as always, Britton Roselle. Here's some food for thought for your Valentine's Day this year. So, I have a recipe that's been really popular with all my followers. It's on my blog. It's for a strawberry risotto for Valentine's Day. So just go to marialiberati.com and look up my strawberry risotto. It's really delicious, surprisingly delicious, but it's also a beautiful dish to serve on Valentine's Day. And for some other food ideas, there are many foods out there that are heart-shaped. So there's heart-shaped everything out there right now, and you can even make a pizza heart-shaped, donuts heart-shaped, cookies heart-shaped. You can find them pre-made if you don't want to make your own at bakeries and grocery stores, or just get creative and make your own. It's really easy to make a heart-shaped pizza. That, I think, is my favorite thing for Valentine's Day. But pink and red galore. They're the colors for Valentine's Day. So think pink velvet cupcakes, red velvet cake pops, and strawberry cheesecake. And as I mentioned, strawberry risotto is on my blog at marialiberati.com. But the festive colors of pink and red really instantly add a Valentine's Day touch to any desserts. And, think of unique flavor combinations. Move beyond the usual chocolate and strawberries. Explore options like rosewater macaroons, lavender shortbread cookies, or blood orange and pistachio cake. Yum. And for savory dishes, well, the aphrodisiac ingredients are oysters, asparagus, figs, and dark chocolate. So incorporating them into your meal can really set the mood. And take the time to arrange your food in a heart shape or spell out a message with vegetables. It's just a really simple way to add a fun and personal touch. You can also create a fondue station with chocolate cheese or broth for a really fun and interactive type of dining experience. And if you're having dinner for two, just elevate your usual takeout or home-cooked meal by choosing a special recipe, setting the table with candles and flowers, and playing romantic music. But beyond food, you also have mocktails and cocktails, so that can be used to set the mood. Create festive drinks with Valentine's Day colors and flavors, like a pink grapefruit mimosa or a chocolate cherry martini. But you can also have non-alcoholic options like a sparkling cranberry juice or a strawberry smoothie. And don't forget that charcuterie board. Arrange cheeses, fruits, and crackers on a board for a beautiful and delicious appetizer and snack. They're always fun to assemble and think of interesting designs and ways to combine the cheese, fruit, and crackers. But no matter what your food preferences are, there's certainly a Valentine's Day trend you can enjoy. And with a little creativity, you can make your celebration extra special and memorable. Once again, thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show and to my producer, Britton Roselle. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati. On Vimeo, you can find my videos at Maria Liberati. Our new YouTube channel, just called The Maria Liberati Show, where you can see most of our podcasts on video there. And let's see, you can find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, at artoflivingprimamedia.com, on amazon.com, Kindle, and really anywhere books are sold. And until next time, peace, love, and pasta.